Hey folks, welcome back. You're a fast entrepreneur. All right, let's get it. So, I'm out for a walk here. I figured it'd be a good time to do an update, and let's get right into it. Big news of the day is optimism. All right, so nothing I say financial advice, do your own research, but let's get into it. So what is optimism and why is it potentially such a big deal? Well, if you've been paying attention to crypto, then you'll know that Ethereum is slow and clunky. And they've been talking about, Ethereum has been talking about moving to proof of stake, this merge. Some have been hearing like June 8th, so it looks like we're coming up on that. But in the meantime, for quite a while, there's been these layer 2 solutions, things like Polygon, and there's others. But optimism has a little different approach. They're an optimistic roll-up approach. You know, if you're interested in all the tech details, you can go YouTube or check that out. But it was one of the largest of the layer 2s, especially, you know, just if you look at like total volume locked and stuff like this, right up there with like Arbitrum. Both of these did not have a token. No one knew they were going to have a token. Turns out, looks like they're both now going to have a token. But what has happened today is Optimism has officially launched. So they've officially dropped their first airdrop of what they're calling the first of many in this airdrop season. So if you don't know what I mean by that, you can check out optimism.io. You can learn all about it. But it looks like, you know, for users in the future, if you're using the Optimism chain and ecosystem, some of those projects in there have been granted OP tokens. OP, right? You down with OPP? Yeah, you know. All right, well, and it's up to them on how those individual projects, how they're going to drop these OP tokens in the future. But let's get back to reality. Let's get back to what's going on right now. And at the moment, we were waiting for this. You could check your address to see if you're eligible. And so here's the deal. Only, I think, like 5% of a total of 19% of all the tokens that will go to airdrop. Only 5% have actually been released in this first phase. It's kind of broad. And the question is, all right, how much was each token going to be worth? You know, nobody knew for certain, but my guess was, I was thinking it'd probably be around a $3 token. It looks like when it did launch, it was a little bit above that, maybe $4 or $5. Quickly dropped to under $1, and just last time I checked, it was just a little over $1. So it looks like most of the addresses have yet to claim. So, you know, it looks like 90-something% of the addresses still haven't claimed them. So that's, we still have to wait to see what's going to happen there. Perhaps people are waiting to claim. You know, tax implications of airdrops, right? So you have to think about that if you're in a country or jurisdiction where that might apply. Do you claim now? Do you claim later? Do you claim at a high price, low price? Do you sell? What do you do? So you got to make up your own minds, your own. But with that being said, it does look like, you know, at least playing around in the ecosystem, I mean, it is faster, cheaper, for sure, than Ethereum. So, but there's a lot of competition, right? Lots of competition. So we will have to wait and see specifically what comes of that. But moving forward, you know, if you do play around in the ecosystem, perhaps you might get some airdrops from some OP tokens in the future. Perhaps you won't, but you won't know if you don't try, right? So, yeah, you won't know if you don't try. So, let's see. So what else? So that's the big news of the day, is optimism. And, what else am I focusing on? It seems like times like these, bear market, a lot of people seem to go away, but, I think this is when the builders build and the growers grow, prepare. EVMOS staking recently launched rewards and paying a pretty high APY. So what does that mean? Well, it means that essentially people that are staking EVMOS, whether or not they were airdropped it or they bought it, every day they're staking, they're getting, their stack's getting bigger and by a lot. And so right now the EVMOS price seems to be, on the rise. But the question is, will that stay? Is it sustainable? And usually, these APYs, money will rush in, right? As more and more people chase the APY, eventually it will come down to earth. But the question is at the end of the day, will the total value of your stack be worth more or less? And that's going to depend upon what you're doing with your rewards. Are you staking them and compounding them? Are you selling them? Moving them into something else? And it's also going to really depend on the price of the EVMOS token. So if you don't know what EVMOS is kind of this chain that connects the EVM side, like Ethereum, to the MOS side, the Cosmos, and interoperability. So, pretty cool project. Looks pretty promising, and I think it's something to stay tuned on. What else? Well, PULSECHAin. When PULSECHAin? We don't know when PULSECHAin. But Richard is continuing to market. He's making a lot of people laugh. There's also highest stakes. I guess it's like a documentary kind of focusing on Richard and Hex and whatnot. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's out yet, but it seems pretty cool. I'd like to check it out. What else? So, let's see, what else is there? Yeah, I was going to mention, we got to talk about TrueBit. You know me, I like to TrueBit. I like to TrueBit. I like to TrueBit. TrueBit had a low, like under 10 cents, kind of had good technical formation set up. I think it's up to 25 cents now. This is like in a matter of a week or so. And there could be some potential. My thinking on TrueBit is when the thing does pop, it's not going to stop. I think that from what I glean, and I have a hard time understanding all the technicals, but if we're really going into a world like Ray Kurzweil talks about, kind of a world, virtual, artificial, intelligent, just global computer machine. Ethereum could be laying the groundwork for that. Whether or not it will be the thing, but I think it's got the traction, and it's shown what it can do already. So potentially, TrueBit protocol may be able to help enable and really put that into force. So, that's the way I see it. I see it very differently. I don't believe at this point, I don't see TrueBit as like a layer 2 where all these other ones are. I just think it's doing something unique. So, it's amazing to me that the thing is still valued, I don't know, maybe $50 million or something. Whereas, it's, I don't know, the next era could be the TrueBit era. And I've been saying this for a while. We have the Bitcoin era, the Ethereum era, and I'm thinking perhaps the TrueBit era, but we'll have to wait and see. That's just my gut. lots of other great projects out there. Let's go back to the L2s for a second, because we talked about optimism. You know, you can go and you can look at the criteria of the people that did get, you know, coins airdropped. You know, some people just for like, you know, just for bridging, you know, maybe a few dollars using their official bridge, you know, got you a certain number, I don't know, 700 coins or something. You know, even if it's $1, it's $700 worth. So, but there were other actions, you know, on top of that people could have taken. But Arbitrum could be something very similar, and it hasn't happened yet. So, you know, if you kind of look at optimism as the kind of maybe alluding to what might come. Hold on, there's a doggy. There's a dog yard sign, so that's pretty good sign that it's on a leash, you know, or it's on an electric fence. So, I mean, most dogs are pretty good, but you know, occasionally get some dogs that they don't like you. It's not usually that. So optimism, yeah. So you may want to, you know, look at that. What else is there? Oh, we're talking about Arbitrum. Yeah, Arbitrum. Sorry, I got a little distracted. We just got a dog. Arbitrum. And let's see, some other kind of big airdrops we talked about on Cosmos. The GNOLAND, right? This is Jaquan. He's the guy behind it all, right? Behind the Cosmos Hub. He's behind, you know, originally he's behind Tendermint, which is the company that has the Tendermint consensus mechanism that, you know, a lot of big protocols use. Well, I don't know, you know, he looks like the insiders kind of, you know, they go in different directions here, but he's going to be launching. They've taken the snapshot already for Atom stakers. Should be pretty interesting to see. I don't have any knowledge or details of when token launch or anything like that, but what else is there? Well, we talked about Richard, obviously PULSECHAIN. We don't know PULSECHAIN, but, you know, stay tuned. Could be coming up. And then, you know, it all circles back to the merge. I don't know if you all watch like Survivor, right? Survivor, you know, they all compete. They compete in different tribes. And then, you know, at some point in their adventure, in their journey, the tribes merge and they become one. And so Ethereum 2.0, you know, it seems like we've been waiting for a while. You know, if you're new to crypto, you know, this is a very, very, very big possible, you know, it is, but it's a big event, and it's also I guess why. Let's talk just quickly why. You know, Ethereum, if you look at, you know, Bitcoin kind of showed us what blockchains could do. Satoshi Nakamoto, you know, just brilliant. He unleashed this technology into the world. And then Ethereum, you know, how many years ago now? We're looking at almost 7-8 years. Ethereum started to take it a step further and say, okay, we don't just need to, you know, Bitcoin's good and all, but it doesn't do much. What if we can create kind of like an operating system, have these things called smart contracts, and let developers, companies build dApps, decentralized applications, and that's what happened. And Ethereum, you know, just recently, within the last few years, especially with the upsurge in DeFi, right, decentralized finance, we saw a lot of use cases and a lot of projects just kind of, I mean, literally, you know, crop up, and a lot of them became, you know, really big in the Ethereum ecosystem. But Ethereum has its problems because the transaction fees are sometimes can be very high. You know, you can pay $50 to $100 just to send a transaction. I mean, it's, you know, it's not very feasible, and, you know, sometimes it's slow, right? You're waiting for your transactions and yada yada. So the goal was, well, okay, how And why are we talking about Ethereum? There's all these other blockchains. Well, Ethereum, if you look at the market cap, Ethereum's number 2 behind Bitcoin, and that's really where all the action takes place. And you can't just look at Ethereum's market cap. You kind of have to say, well, where does Ethereum's tentacles reach? Because you've got all these dApps, and some of these dApps are huge as well. So, Ethereum is huge. And so these L2 solutions, some of that we've just spoken about, some have come on board and have made the process, I guess, better, faster, cheaper, but there's still limitations, because if you want to deal on an L2, you aren't necessarily able to do everything that you would on the main Ethereum chain. You can't necessarily swap for all the assets that you would on Ethereum chain. So, a little bit limited, but the big thing is how the network is secured. And so up to this point, we've had kind of 2 major blockchains. We've had proof of work blockchains and proof of stake blockchains. And so proof of work, this is like Bitcoin, right? A lot of miners have to buy a lot of, very expensive equipment. That's how you get your transactions. They verify transactions, they get an incentive if they do so, if they solve it. They use a lot of electricity, and if they solve it, they essentially they win some Bitcoins. They earn the Bitcoin reward for that block. And so, it works, but it's maybe not the best for the environment, and it certainly, has its cons as well. So proof of stake is an alternative, and it's seems to be, kind of the future where we're moving. And this is where Ethereum wants to migrate to, whereas instead of, the proof of work, which Ethereum is currently, proof of stake, you will secure the blockchain by simply holding and staking or delegating your coins to a validator. And so, it's kind of think of like in the US, when you vote, you actually, a lot of times you're voting for representatives, and then representatives go and then they do, the business. It's kind of similar here. The validators, and you just kind of delegate your vote. So, you can vote if you want to, but, so with that being said, this could be coming up pretty soon. And when it does, it'll be a whole new Ethereum. Hopefully it'll be much better. And this could be kind of a new chapter, if you will, for smart contracts, for Ethereum itself. Something that we haven't seen. This is kind of like a major upgrade. So this will be very interesting to see what happens. And right now, we have other L1s, but it doesn't, L1s, layer ones like Ethereum. But it doesn't seem anytime soon that Ethereum is going away or even losing its steam. So let's see what else. Well, it looks like we are probably officially now in the bear market. And I guess we'll just circle back to Terra. So Terra Luna, just if you haven't been paying attention, at least in all the time that I've been around crypto, Terra Luna was a top 10 coin. And it literally fell from its grace, to be, it was worth like tens of billions and billions and billions of dollars to literally being worth like, nothing. I don't think it went completely to zero, but, for most people, probably lost 99% of their holdings. And, the whole Terra ecosystem, in theory, sounded great, and it was really building, and, projects were building in and around it. And, Terra had, IBC, so it could, kind of be involved in that whole Cosmos deal. But the whole Terra foundation was built on their stable coin, which was not necessarily backed by anything real, but for certain it was algorithmic. So, the goal was that the algorithm, would always kind of keep it pegged to $1, and it had lost its peg before, but only by a couple pennies, and came right back, within a few days or weeks. It didn't happen this time, and here we are, a couple weeks later, and I don't know what they're doing now. It looks like the guy, well, first off, Do Kwon, the guy that founded and behind it all, he's probably getting, sued by governments and big, money people left and right. He wants to, try and revive Terra Luna. They're doing like an airdrop. You get like a lunk token. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's going to be something there, and I know there's a big community, but they're probably all broke, and I guess unless people really believe and have faith in whatever this new thing's going to be, but in a lot of ways, this was a major event. I don't think I've seen anything like this in 6-7 years, whatever, how long it's been. This is very big, and I think it just shows you, like simple principles like diversification, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Even like things like that, you think are, stable kind of blue chip projects. I mean, this thing got wiped out literally, overnight. And so, yeah, but, so where do we go from here? Well, I don't know. I guess the way I look at this is, I mean, the technology is real. The trend of crypto is here to stay, and it's probably only going to keep growing. And times like this, it seems like it's like it weeds out the bad actors, it weeds out the bad projects, and the ones that are have real value, and they stick around. And it doesn't mean that it's smooth sailing. I mean, you can have some hiccups and whatnot, but if you look, the projects that essentially, like if you look at other runs, if you look, projects that lose, say, 95% of their previous all-time high, if they really do have something there, then, they are probably more realistic or more probable to make the comeback when the time is right. And you don't have to be, hold on, this pollen in the air is like crazy. Jesus, pollen is, you don't have to, be in a bull market where everything's going up, to see appreciation. Because there are some projects, even in bull run or bear markets, that that do make the run, and we've seen that time and time again. I think like last bull, if you look at like Chainlink, there's others. I'm just using an example, but there may be big projects that may be true, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe true, but is still early, and it's going to take a bunch of time before it shines. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think there's always great projects out there, and depending on what country you're in, if you're in a country where you can do like IDOs, or if you can do pre-sales. I mean, some of those people, even though you're getting small allocations, sometimes people are making 100x in a day. Maybe you're only maybe it's only on $20, but I mean, still do the math, right? You turn $20 into, what's that, 2,000? How many times would you like to do that? But not every country, that's available. Let's see what else. Yeah, this is kind of, I mean, let's see where we're at. It's like the last day of May here, 2022. So, going into June and the rest of the year. You know, we've got ETH 2.0 lead the way. You know, we've got some other exciting things that I've mentioned, and you know, we'll have to wait and see. I don't necessarily, you know when another bull market may be coming. I mean, usually we use like the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycles as like kind of the lead indicator. We're a little ways away off from that. So, but also, you know, we're kind of still in unprecedented times with, you know, this war with Russia and Ukraine. You know, it's affecting, you know, just food supplies and just, you know, general supply chains, you know, in Europe and across the world. We're seeing, you know, for the first time in a long time, we're seeing central banks kind of tightening because we've got runaway inflation. And, you know, so it's usually during these times, like, you know, just most of the time, like assets, and especially like speculative assets, you know, don't necessarily have the best environment to perform. So, you know, there's other stuff in the world other than crypto. And, you know, I still think that crypto is a very, very big part of the future in just so many industries and governments and, you know, and finance, the way we live life. But, you know, it's still very early. You know, I mean, we're still very early, even though it's not like, you know, maybe the first inning, you know, where everybody's just showing up to the ball game. But, I mean, it's, you know, it's just very early. And, you know, hopefully if you're watching this channel and you're getting some value, go ahead and hit that like button, you know, hit subscribe, be part of this channel with us. Yeah. And, you know, I just, every once in a while, like to kind of shoot these recap, you know, these recap videos, not, you know, not every day, not every week, but, you know, every once in a while, just to kind of share kind of my perspective on kind of the larger, you know, bigger picture stuff, at least what I'm currently, you know, looking at and focusing, you know, my time and effort on. And, you know, the nitty gritties, I mean, that's stuff that, you know, I can shoot, you know, week to week or whatever. But, you know, there's, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything else like major that I wanted to touch on, but I don't think so. And so, with that being said, beautiful day here. The weather today was just really hot and humid. Don't know where you are, but here in upstate New York, this has been a hot and humid day. It's been tough just being outside and you're like sweating. This shirt, by the way, is, I mean, I love it. I don't know if you can see kind of the material, but this shirt, you know, I think I paid like, I don't know, maybe 35, 40 bucks for it. I love the camo, but it's supposed to be designed to, like, you know, when it gets wet, or, you know, like if you're sweating or whatnot, it's supposed to even help cool you off even further. You know, just kind of, it's very light, you know, it's stretchy. And yeah, so, you know, I mean, I like it. It's nice for days like this, you know, so I'm not wearing like a, you know, cotton shirt. It's getting all drenched and soaked and whatnot. Yeah, I'd have to check if anybody wants to know like the shirt. Yeah, I'd have to look, you know, at the brand or whatever. If there's anything that you want to just mention, or you want to just say hi, or there's anything in a future video, go ahead, put it in the comments. You know, and I'll do my best to kind of have these conversations, you know, kind of flesh this out. Yeah, I mean, if you're still watching the video, you know, let me know. You know, I mean, I don't know how many people are actually watching this video, but I hope it provides some value. And, you know, I mean, I always say not financial advice. I only share my experiences. You know, I share, you know, I've been in and around crypto for some time. So, I'm not necessarily new to the game, but I don't necessarily know it all either. And there's things that I'm good at and there's things that I'm not good at. But hopefully everybody, we can learn together, and yeah, what else? I mean, yeah, it's going to be very, 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 very interesting to see what's going to come. But, I think just on a different note, like, at least for myself, some people maybe do crypto full time. Some people do it, in and around other jobs, or some people, kind of just set it, forget it. I mean, whatever it is for you. I mean, for me, let's see, how would I put it? I mean, sometimes I usually, I kind of have a routine, like, I kind of check a few things, each day or each morning, kind of, just so I can get an idea. Like, so for me, what that means is, like, I just kind of want to get my pulse, on maybe what's new, what's happening, maybe what I should, maybe check back in, later in the day. And then, and so like what I'll do is I'll maybe just kind of check, like, real brief, just kind of see, like, okay, let's take a look at, some of the charts. Let's take a look at, like, say crypto Twitter, some of the influencers, just so I kind of get an idea of, there's certain things that I'm looking at, maybe, to spend, and I don't necessarily have to spend a ton of time, to follow up and do this. And then usually I'll go out and, go on, go on about my day, unless there's something like, major or something that I, that needs my attention. And then usually, I wouldn't say every day, but, most days, I try and set out, like a chunk of time, maybe a couple of hours or 2-3 hours, where I have, like, specific goals that I want to achieve. So, like, for instance, if I'm focusing on airdrops, then I want to prioritize, okay, which ecosystems, what's my strategy, what platforms, go take the actions, track the actions, and then, and then, chill. And then, okay, maybe I'll circle back, on that specific thing, another day. But, I realize, there's only, you can research, but at some point, what are the actions that you're taking? Because it's usually the actions that are going to get rewarded. And so, and then sometimes, not every morning, but sometimes either in the morning or at night, I will do some research. Just sometimes I like to dive deeper into certain things. Sometimes I, like to just maybe watch like a more in-depth YouTube talk, or maybe some, developers or some company founders or whatnot, just to kind of get a little bit of an idea. And then just being in on the ground. So, like, sometimes if I'm out and I'm just, say, if I'm walking or if I'm driving, I like, crypto Twitter has, or, it's not crypto Twitter, it's all Twitter, but, Twitter Spaces. So, groups of people kind of get together, and they talk about different topics. So sometimes, and what I have found doing that is sometimes it's helpful to listen. Sometimes it's helpful to speak and ask questions. Sometimes they're large, groups. Sometimes they're, kind of smaller, intimate groups of, 5, 10, 15 people. So you have, kind of different conversations, but a little bit more intimate. You can kind of, flesh things out. Sometimes you'll make connections that way. What else? So I would say from a week to week basis, like I've shared in the first part of this video kind of my overall perspective on the market. And then what I try and think about is, okay, like, what are the actions that I can take? So like 3 month goals, 1 month goals, 1 week goals, and then kind of, the daily activities to get there. So, and at the end of the day, I have to be realistic with myself. Like, if I don't have, all the time to do, like for instance, sometimes I want to do things, if you're looking at airdrops or something and you want to, well, hey, I could, how can I do this, and times it by 10, sometimes you just don't have the time or you don't have the resources or it's just not a good use. And so, at least my perspective is, I'd rather take some action rather than no action. I know that life happens and, I can always revisit. And sometimes, hey, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not guaranteed. I'm not entitled to anything. And we got some guys riding on motorcycles here. So, yeah, look at them riding by. And but trying to be realistic, and then, when things, and patience, because, like a lot of this stuff, say, if you're looking at airdrops, I mean, sometimes you're taking actions and, it might be 6 months to a year from now until you even find out if there's going to be a drop or even if you're going to be eligible. It seems to me it's kind of like fishing, right? You're throwing a bunch of lines out into the lake or into the stream or whatever, and you're hoping that a few of them have the right bait on them. What else was I going to say? I was going to say what else was I going to say? Sometimes I guess my perspective is sometimes you can't do it all. Sometimes maybe it's not even best to do it all. I think, I like to learn. I like to experiment, play with a lot of different chains and whatnot. But I think that, I only have so much time in the day. And, sometimes I just don't have time or it's just not worth it, like to spread myself maybe all that thin. So I got to prioritize. And, I try and look at, where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck? Where am I going to learn the most, for what my goals in crypto are, and that. Another thing is, I pay attention to, a lot of different things and a lot of influencers, but at the end of the day, I have to prioritize, which influencers I go to for which information. And then, eventually sometimes there's just some people like, hey, I'm just going to stick with it and this is an action taker and I'm just going to do it. So for instance, I'm going to give a shout out to Ziv on YouTube. His handle is Finance After 40. This is a guy that he's focused on, airdrops from multiple different, kind of these big chains that we're talking about. And he's just very practical. He just kind of he comes out, he doesn't put out a ton of videos, but when he does, I make it a point and say, okay, am I up to date with, what he's thinking, what he says, and, am I taking the action? So it's kind of something real and tangible and practical, that, if I check into, say Finance After 40 YouTube page, maybe if it's once a week, I mean, usually I check it, more than that because I'm, getting updates or whatnot, but, but even if it's once a week, check out his videos. And then I say, okay, so, one afternoon this week, I'm going to, watch these videos and, as I'm watching them, take these actions, and so, I think that people like that. It's just very practical and it's very walkthrough, and, it's something that, like, if you really don't even know too much about, crypto or anything, like, I just like how simple his methodology is. And he just, these aren't like long videos. These are probably, 15, 20, 25 minute videos, and then he just does them, and it's up to you. Sometimes I'll watch him, I'll do it with him, and sometimes I'll watch him a few times, and I always, most of the time I realize, okay, like, go over some protocols, what makes sense, how much is it worth my time, and, do I want to do these a few times? Do I want to, which ones, so it's guys like that, very practical, which is good. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that this video, wherever you are, whether you're driving, walking, just chilling on the couch, hope that this video would be helpful to not just, somebody just starting out in crypto or somebody that's maybe been in crypto for a while, but to kind of let you know my perspective and kind of the action steps and the, daily activities that I try and do and focus on. And so that's kind of, my thinking and game plan for the next several months. And with that being said, love you guys all. And if you want to be part of the team here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You can also mostly either put things here on YouTube or on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Fast2Future. Let me say it again because a car just drove by. It's on Twitter. It's at Fast2Future. Fast2Future. And you can find me there. A lot of times either I'll write stuff or I'll retweet things that I found interesting or actionable. So with that being said, folks, that's all I got. Peace and love. See you later. Bye.